Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Ankur, the sprout, the divine design of nature, the evolution of plant kingdom. Now, spore to the seed is something which I am talking about. That's the creation of first plant seeds as such. How life from chemistry started is something how we are evolved to this particular stage, and with respect to Devyank we are going to see things systematically, how I came to recognize, conceive and reveal Devyank for the first time in 2015, starting this journey from my childhood itself, maybe the earlier lives, step by step to understand from atom, elements, molecule, compound to the cells to the entire universe step by step. And this particular picture is the formation of spores, or so called ankur, are the first stage of creation. Now again I am bringing back the periodic table as such, and there are two things which I am talking about. One, you can see the size of elements or atoms from left to the right reduces and from top to the bottom increases. You can see the picture very clearly. I have shown in the first the hydrogen, which is larger size, and helium is smaller size. Then helium to neon to argon, krypton, xenon, astatine, and how things go on increasing in the size, and this is where the whole mathematics starts. Hydrogen, I will call it exactly 22 by 21 size, little more than 1, and helium as a 20 into 20 is a circular Atma which we experience as such as Antaratma, Atma, the voice of silence, and all the spirals which increase over a period you can see in this particular shape. 1 is only helium, 2 in neon, 3 in argon, 4 in krypton, 5 in xenon, 6 in astatine, and then go on thereafter. And it can take 22 different stages to reach the 22 stages universal consciousness till you reach the highest level of universal consciousness called Nirankar Nirgun Brahman. Now you can understand very clearly how science has helped me to understand things much better step by step. Now come to the question of this. I have written earlier the descent of atoms, elements and molecule compounds, everything started in the universe and they came down. The gods and goddesses of Veda represent the nature of different elements of divine nature is very clear. Particularly with respect to Rig Veda, it is very clear. It is centers, the highest is Ragni, the center one, and of course all the atoms, and I would say hydrogen is Aditya, the sun god, and helium is Aditi, the Antaratma, and maybe as I told you, carbon could be Shiva, and oxygen is Durga or Mata Vaishno Devi, and that's how it goes on. And from that angle I have explained things much very clearly in all these videos on chemistry, or maybe the entire thing which I am talking about. Then comes to the concept of Indra, the king of God, is of water, and that's why water becomes very important universal solvent which will carry whole thing, and as a rain god he brought everything from universe to the earth very clearly. With thunder, lightning, rain, on all the essential elements came down from the cosmos to the ocean. That's very clear. Biological life started in the water, warm waters of ocean as such, and all the requirement of life came from the ocean in warm water, and they were processed in that as a unicellular organism. And from unicellular organism, how we have grown to multicellular human body is over a period in different stages. So first thing was in water, and the greatest in that is of course fish, and then evolution of vertebrates, and thereafter we became more out of water rather than in water. And this process is very beautifully explained in Sagar Manthar, Smoother Manthar, or churning of the ocean as such. Now there comes to the question of divine period as again hydrogen, helium are the two one. Hydrogen is the first one, carbon is second, third is oxygen. These three put together started the chemistry in the universe, And the three great molecules are methane, water and carbon dioxide. All the three I have already explained. Methane as Kamadhenu, water as Amrit, and carbon dioxide as the something which I talked with the last thing itself. This is where Prakriti started. Kamadhenu, Amrit and Prakriti, three things I have already spoken about it, and this is the fourth in the line in the process. Now they come to the question of water. I have already explained. Methane I have already explained. And so did I explain about carbon dioxide, how methane plus water is methane plus oxygen unite together, as you can see the formula top. As a result, carbon dioxide is formed and then water is formed. These are the three initial stages which all the chemistry started: inorganic chemistry, elemental chemistry, and then how things come. In the process, I have also written it very clearly. Earth had 97% carbon dioxide, and so were Mercury, so was Venus, and so were Mars to start with. And how things changed, I have explained in the last Prakriti how things changed, where Mercury got 42% oxygen, Earth got 21 thing, and how nitrogen was formed, how other sodium, potassium, etc. were formed were very clearly explained. This is the nature design, how the formation of the vital element started in the universe and then in water, and now we are seeing that what the effect of that. For that matter, sodium is going to be extracellular fluid and potassium inside, and I think that would make things very clear to understand these are the most important elements in the nature, for which human beings should be very thankful to nature giving that. And once we understand that, we will be able to position to go things much better. Now comes the question of photosynthesis. I am explaining here. 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of water put together in the light of the sun is converted into 1 glucose plus 6 oxygen molecules. This is the chemical photosynthesis where sunlight plays an important role on the earth. 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, leading to 1 molecule of glucose plus 6 molecules of oxygen. Interesting enough, these are the plants which are doing it. We in human beings, as animal elements, have something called cell respiration, and cell respiration is glucose plus oxygen which plants produce. We use those two things to produce energy and other thing, and as a result we produce again same carbon dioxide and water. What plants did, we do exactly the opposite. And this is the process which I would say the carbon dioxide and water is essential, and this equilibrium is maintained, and that's the amazing part of Akhand Vidyashram Ashibhushan Sharma's contribution towards perfect chemistry, perfect physics, perfect mathematics, perfect biology, perfect human beings and life as such. Core is divine mathematics as such. Now there comes to question of genesis of biochemistry. The science of biochemistry has evolved from atom, element, molecules, organic compound, and this synthesis of biochemistry compound in this, and this is something which I am showing as a plant as such. You can call it as Vriksh, which is divine design, which I am going to talk about it as I talk about photosynthesis later. Now comes to a plant cell as such. This is a structure which is primarily made of 3 parts: cell membrane, cytoplasm and the nucleus. There are 3 parts. When under the electron microscope, plant cell also is further divided into 21 parts. Cell membrane is made of 7 parts. There are 7 things in cytoplasm and 7 parts of the nucleus which are absolutely essential. And the same thing is seen in human cells also. And once this structure is understood, I think we'll be able to understand how things evolved in the process from 0, which is helium, to whatever we are today. Now comes question asexual creation of the plants to start with, because egg Seeds did not come additionally. We have a question which is raised: did hen come first or the egg came first? We come to very straight, but I would go further state. It was not seed also. Forget about hen. It's not the plant. It's not the seed. It's not the flower. It is not the fruits. It is something else which started with. Under the ground, seeds were created later, but what was started with is more important as the asexual creation itself. Sexual comes later. This is nature designed, because to start with, everything was asexual only. Now comes the asexual connection. I am going to bring you back to a very important part called banana. Now again I am going to show you this. In this case, Ankur lies in banana and onion itself, and that's it. Now you look at this particular plant very clearly. Different parts of the banana plant can be seen, but you can see right at the bottom the core part and how the plant is grown, and along with the plant how the same plant is coming from the side inside asexually from the same plant. It is not a seed outside. Same thing you can see in many other plants, including aloe vera. And I grow aloe vera at home because that's the only one which can produce oxygen even in darkness. That's it. Here you see things growing side by side as the spores from inside, not from outside. Sexual reproduction, there are not two animals involved or two plants involved or two things. So asexual reproduction of protozoa, or for that matter asexual creation in banana or onions, is an interesting subject. Now comes to the question of understanding spores as spores. Spore is a reproductive cell capable of developing into a new individual cell without fusion with another reproductive cell. That exactly I meant. It's asexual. Spores thus differ from gametes, which are reproductive cells that must fuse in pairs to give rise to a new individual. Here it is from the self. It is mitosis, not a meiosis and then mitosis later, which you normally see angiosperm. Spores are agents of asexual reproduction, whereas gametes are agents of sexual reproduction. That's the difference. We are starting for asexual reproduction, that is spores were together. That's what I said. Ankur is the beginning of the whole creation. It was spores. Spores are produced by bacteria, fungi, algae and plants as such. And that is a statement which I am making it very, very clear. Bacteria grow like that, fungi grow like that, algae grow that, and even plants like this grow like that. None among the fungi the spores serve a function analogous to that of seeds in plants. That is very important. And when you think of fungus, something which is very important for a human being is again spirulina as such, produced and released by specialized fruiting bodies such as the edible portions of the familiar mushrooms like fungal spores, germinate and grow into new individuals under suitable conditions of moisture, temperature and food availability. Now this is again a point for everybody to understand. First you need water completely, and then you need a temperature of 37 degrees and also the availability of raw material around. When you have a raw material, you have the water and you have the temperature, ideal temperature, only then growth can happen. Growth cannot happen without water. Growth cannot happen under no temperature, and if it is not available. I think that is the kind of knowledge which I want everybody to understand as I am explaining the very starting of the biological life, which started in warm waters of ocean, when everything came from the ocean, absorbed and then given back to the ocean. That's the process which I am talking about through spore formation. Now many large algae produced by spores and also available asexual reproduction. Several red algae various produce monospores and are carried by water current and form a new organism. Some green algae produce non-motile spores called aplanospores, whereas others produce motile zoospores, which lack true cell wall and where one or more flagella. Flagella allow zoospores to swim to a favorable environment in which to develop, whereas monospores and epispores rely on passive transport of water alone. One can move by itself, one cannot move, they need water to move. And once this is understand, you understand how the nature developed stages step by step to come to a perfect human being as a human being, as you're going to see as we come to that particular stage. This is the beginning of biological life from unicellular organism itself. I am talking about unicellular organism. Now among the seed-bearing plants, the gametosperms and angiosperms, the haploid spores are far less conspicuous. They are not released from the parent, but rather they germinate into microscopic gametophyte individuals that are entirely dependent upon the diploid sporophyte plant. Gymnosperms, angiosperms, two kinds. Microspores give rise to male and megaspores produce female gametes. This is where the male and female are done from spores itself. Microspores male and megaspores female, and this is same process continues to be there in human beings again. The sperm which is meant for the male Y is smaller in size, the female X is larger in size, and all the energy in male is only genetic structure, whereas female give you energy and everything. As a result, this is very big size, and I think that concept starts here itself very clear. That's how you are going to see how things would move step by step to this level of consciousness, that we perfect human beings have this knowledge of atoms, elements, molecules, compounds, unicellular to multicellular organisms with all the potentials which are there within the human body to show us how the universe is all about us. Entire creation from the beginning to the end, from mineral kingdom to the plant kingdom to the animal kingdom to the perfect human being who is in tune with the universal consciousness, is possible within the human body itself. And that is the kind of knowledge which I want the world to know. I do not want a defective knowledge which is available throughout the world, which is confusing everybody. And I would say even Nobel laureates are defective, confusing, and that is what has to be re-established or redone perfectly in the light of Divyang to give you how things are. And again, Akhand Vidyashram doing exactly the same. So you have uniform free education for anybody and everybody in the universe as such. And today is much more easily because smartphones, and they can carry these particular videos, and these videos will explain A to Z step by step without the need for anything, even to go to university. Even a person who is not getting into education, is not going to school, college, university at all, but person can understand A to Z sitting at home without even needing a literary education itself. At the end, to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy person, you should be educated, enlightened within yourself, and that can be done for anybody at any age without going to school, college and university, doing any research. That is the main objective of Akhand Vidyashram. This is knowledge for everybody, not for somebody, but person who wants to be healthy, wealthy and wise, for them these are absolutely essential. Now come to the question of this is the structure of spores itself. I am not going to detail, you can see it leisurely as you move on. The second thing is how the process starts from gametocyte, and whole the process comes as such step by step is very well described in this particular picture, and I give credit to all the scientists and other scientists who have done this kind of work. Is all dedicated to scientists, and I will not take a credit, I only appreciate them. This is how the spore formation was explained step by step, and you can see the copyright there very clearly. I am grateful to Google, grateful to scientists, grateful to mathematicians. They have made my job easier, and so is the ancient Indian wisdom. Rig Veda used Vedas, Upanishad and Sanskrit scriptures. This combination of both put together make me a spiritual scientist. Spirituality from Veda and Upanishads and science from modern science, and bringing them together only there is a perfection, otherwise they both are incomplete by themselves. They cannot understand without each other. Scientists, mathematics cannot understand modern because it's confusing. Veda and Upanishads cannot be understood because of beyond. When put together, this remove all the negatives, you have a perfect spiritual science, which I am talking about. Now come to the question, another picture in the same form, how things work. And I want you, I will not talk about it because you need to sit and look at this picture very clearly. You can even download and study the things. You will have to start doing work. And I make one thing very clearly. I have come this age to this particular stage through self-education. I have not got the book knowledge, I do not copycat, and I question anything which I don't understand. That's what I've been saying very clearly. Shibhushan Sharma has an antaratma, helium within me, and helium gives me the blissful stage when I'm perfectly fine, otherwise gives me the pain, and I know that knowledge is not good, and that is enough for me to understand. And if it is blissful and makes sense and eliminate all the defects, that is what Aditi, our Antaratma, our Kundalini gives it to me, and that is what have grown from a childhood to till this day, only through learning within myself, not outside. Now the question is this particular process again. One picture you have seen earlier, second picture how they come and how spores are formed. In both the things you can see spores on this side, and once this is understood, you know very well how atom, elements, molecules, compounds to unicellular organism, and starting as a spore rising from there. That is a bacteria, fungus, and other cells as such. Leave it to that stage of the beginning of creation as such. Now come to the question, there are different stages of which how things work on different stages in that step by step is given, and this is what is whole process of thing going up. Now comes the question, another expenses of the whole thing, how they started developing, how things went inside it, and how the deep earth, certain things, the tubers were formed and something outside. How the process started thereafter, we are going to talk about it as we go to that stage completely. Now the question is again same thing, the process and different things I am showing from different people just to show how beautiful as scientists, how beautifully they have worked on this particular to talk about spores as such, and how sporogonium and how things, and further how they become male and female, and how the sexual strength and how things go. This process goes on in lower and in a plant's kingdom very clearly, and same thing is seen in animal kingdom also. The same process, like single cell protozoa is again 22 by 21 only. That's it. Now come to the question, another process which I started with banana. Now I'm coming to the question of showing bananas and onion both put together as asexual creation, 10 layers of banana and 10 layers of onion. This is where I am talking about 10 stage. Why even in the structure of the plant and the fruit itself, that process of 10 is maintained. And just to confirm, 22 by 21 is the size. They go through the 10 stages, and that's it. Further maturation we will take it as we go higher at a later date. Now you see the 10 layers of banana as such. You can see the outer layer, you can see the middle layer, you can see the inner layer, and put together in such, again as I told you, every cell has got 3 layers: cell membrane 7 parts, cytoplasm 7 organelles, and the nucleus 7, 7, 7, 7, 21 parts. That is a cell, that is like helium, but when it evolves it becomes 22 by 21, and that is what it is all about. Now that comes to the cell membrane. As I told you, cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus you can see, and you can also see vacuoles. But onion have no green chlorophyll. It is pinkish in color, not green as such. Now the question, onion stem cell, you can see the layer by layer, and I can tell you a perfect onion would have 10 layers only, not 9, not 11, and that's it. You can see follower stem, you can see tunic, you can see the bulb, you can modify the compound, and you can also advance it to which are going to further develop into the new cells inside asexually itself. And I think that speaks volumes. Once you understand that kind of botany, only then you will understand things much more clearly. Now this is 10 layers of onion. You can see structure is very clear from inside to outside. You clearly say there are only 10 and they are pinkish in color or magenta in color, and I think that is very clear. It is not green. That's it. Now how the structure is going, how one stage, how inside, how further, how later, and how the further daughter bulbs come from the same mother thing at the bottom bulb section, early section and end of season, how things develop. I think this asexual creation of onion is a beautiful example. This is all happening under the ground and the dark atmosphere, not in white. That is again something which I explained, light. Water is converted into oxygen in light, but carbon dioxide is converted into carbohydrate in darkness, and this is what it is, because all these work on a carbohydrate and that materials level, and how further development is in the process. Now come to the question of how they grow and how they further go, and one by one the plant grows, and of course how further things come up is the latter part. But mother cell, everything is grown inside itself, is a total asexual reproduction. Having explained that, I am clear. This particular video makes it very clear how atoms, molecules, elements to cells to compounds to unicellular to multicellular, step by step. Atom, element, molecule, compound, unicellular, cellular, multicellular, how things work is a very systematic approach. But in this particular picture you see the onion had no green color, but spores which is coming of it is green in color, because that is going to further develop into something which is more of photosynthesis in the light. Down is without light, this is with light, and that is also something. Once we understand, I think we will be very clear that we are moving step by step from mineral kingdom to the early plant kingdom, and I think having done that, concentrating on ankur, the soft spores or sporogenesis are beginning to that stage, then we can go on to next stage to photosynthesis as we come to next stage. And this is, and I'm not going to talk about, I think we have done now step by step how we have evolved to this particular stage. All these things are seen in this particular picture also very clearly. Anyway, enough for the day. Thank you very much.